Before we start, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It happened on a Friday night. I was still in my work pants, barefoot on the rug, when the spark hit gasoline. I said, "No, Madison. You're not going to the club tonight." She was standing in front of the mirror, adjusting her earrings, silver hoops I hadn't seen before. "Eric, I already told Amanda we're going." Amanda, her best friend since college. The one with more drama than a soap opera rerun. "I don't care what you told her," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. "You told me this week would be different. You swore you'd stay home tonight." From the couch, Amanda chimed in without missing a beat. "She's not a prisoner, Eric. It's just a night out." My jaw clenched. "This doesn't concern you." Amanda stood up, full of attitude. "Actually, it does. Madison's been miserable in this house. She deserves a break." I looked straight at Madison. "You want a break? Then let's talk. Right here. Right now. But if you walk out that door, you better understand what that says about us." Madison rolled her eyes and grabbed her bag. "You're so dramatic. It's just dancing and drinks." "You mean more perfume, short dresses, and strangers buying you tequila?" I shot back. "We both know what these nights out are turning into." She turned sharply, staring me down. "Maybe if you stopped acting like my father and started acting like my husband, I wouldn't feel the need to breathe somewhere else." My heart punched against my chest. Amanda smirked, like she was enjoying this. Madison pulled the door open. "Go ahead," I said quietly. "Prove what you really think of me." She scoffed, flicked her hair back, and walked out. Amanda followed, slamming the door behind her. Silence. I stood there, staring at that closed door like it might open again if I waited long enough. My breath came in shallow bursts. The hallway beyond looked empty, hollow, like it had been scrubbed of all the warmth we used to have. Madison didn't even look back. The living room was still warm, cozy even. Soft lamplight on the walls. A bowl of popcorn untouched on the coffee table. We were supposed to watch a movie tonight. Just the two of us. Instead, she chose high heels, loud music, and strangers. I sank into the couch, elbows on my knees. This wasn't just another argument. This was the line. The one she wasn't supposed to cross. It wasn't about the club anymore. It was about everything else she stopped respecting. Madison used to be my best friend. She used to curl up beside me, whispering about her dreams, her fears. Now, she couldn't even look me in the eye when I asked her not to go. I was 34, worked construction for a decent firm in Charlotte, paid our mortgage early, made sure the fridge stayed full. Nothing flashy, just honest, ordinary living. I thought that's what she wanted. But lately, she dressed like someone trying to be noticed. Her phone was always face down. She laughed too hard at texts she wouldn't show me. The perfume she wore wasn't for me anymore. And now, the echo of that slamming door filled every corner of this house like a warning. Something cracked tonight. Quietly, yes, but it cracked. And I hadn't even seen the worst of it yet. I sat at the kitchen table with a plate of food I'd reheated twice, but never touched. Steak and green beans. Madison used to say I overcooked the beans every time. I used to pretend not to care, but truth is, I always tried to get them right for her. Now they were rubbery, and the smell made my stomach turn. The house was quiet in that way only an empty home knows how to be. The kind that makes even a refrigerator hum feel like a shout. I could hear the ticking of the wall clock in the kitchen, sharp and deliberate, like it was counting down to something I didn't want to reach. I leaned back, rubbing my temples, trying to piece together the shift. It hadn't always been like this. Madison used to dance barefoot in this kitchen. Used to hum along with the radio while making Sunday morning pancakes, hair messy, face glowing from sleep. She used to smile like home meant something. Now she barely touched me when she walked past. The hum was gone. The spark was somewhere else, or maybe just gone altogether. I closed my eyes and saw it, her perfume. Not just a scent anymore. A statement. Expensive. Lingering. She'd started wearing it to run errands. Then to girls' nights. Now, even just to grab coffee with Amanda. And the mirror. She used to glance at it once before we left the house. Now she stood in front of it like she was preparing for battle. Lip gloss. Hair curled just right. Tops that hugged curves she never used to flaunt. I noticed all of it. I just didn't say much. Maybe because I didn't want to believe it meant anything. But denial has a shelf life. Madison had started going out nearly every weekend. Always with Amanda. Always just the two of us. But it was never just drinks. Never just dancing. Not at clubs like those. Not dressed the way they were. Not with that kind of hunger in her voice when she talked about the energy there. At first, I told myself I was being paranoid, that she was just trying to hold on to her youth, that maybe Amanda was dragging her along. But deep down, something didn't sit right. One night, she came home with her lipstick smudged and her heels in her hand. I asked her how the night went. She said, it was fun. That was it. Just fun. Nothing more. Nothing less. And she didn't even look me in the eye when she said it. I took a bite of the steak. Chewed. Swallowed. It tasted like paper. I pushed the plate away. I wasn't angry yet. Not really. I wasn't shouting or punching walls. That's not who I am. I was just watching. Listening. Feeling it settle inside me like rain soaking into the drywall. What really stuck with me wasn't the perfume. Or the nights out. It was the way she'd started leaving the room when I walked in. The way her phone screen dimmed the second I got too close. There's a kind of silence that only comes when someone has already left you, even while standing in the same room. I kept thinking of that look she gave me before she walked out tonight. Like I was the controlling one. Like I was the problem. But what kind of marriage was this, where I had to fight just to be considered? I looked around our house. The cozy furniture, the framed photos from road trips, the chipped mug she always used for cocoa. It was all still here. But none of it felt real anymore. And neither did she. Tonight wasn't just another girl's night. It was something else. And for the first time, I let the thought form fully in my head. What if she was seeing someone? I didn't say it aloud. Didn't scream it into the walls. I just let it exist, quietly. It didn't feel like jumping to conclusions. It felt like stepping into a truth I'd been avoiding. I looked at the untouched food. I looked at her empty chair. Then I stood up, walked over to the sink, and dumped the plate. The water from the tap hit the porcelain with a hiss, steaming as it swirled around what should have been dinner. Outside, the street was still. The porch light flickered. Somewhere down the block, a dog barked. I leaned against the sink and stared at nothing. She said she needed space. But I was the one who felt left behind. The clock read 2:13 a.m. I'd stopped pacing an hour ago. Now I sat still in the armchair by the front window, legs crossed, phone silent in my lap. No calls. No texts. Just the quiet hum of the streetlight outside flickering like a slow blink. And then I heard it. Stumbling footsteps. A burst of laughter. Hers, unmistakably Madison's, followed by Amanda's louder giggle. Their voices were muffled but giddy, weaving their way up the sidewalk like a bad memory I couldn't erase. The doorknob rattled. The door opened too fast, banging softly against the wall. I didn't move. Madison's heels clacked across the entryway floor as she leaned against the doorframe, holding her shoes in one hand and her clutch in the other. Her mascara was smudged slightly under one eye, lips still glossed, but fading. "Shoo. He's probably asleep," she whispered to Amanda. I spoke before they made it to the hallway. "Did I ever say you could leave?" Her body went still. Amanda blinked in my direction. I stood up slowly. Madison turned, narrowing her eyes. "Seriously?" "I'm dead serious," I replied, voice even. "I told you not to go, and you left anyway." Amanda crossed her arms. "She's not a child, Eric. I'm not talking to you," I said without even glancing at her. "This is between me and my wife." Madison took a step forward, waving her hand like she was brushing off a breeze. "Eric, for God's sake, stop acting like I committed a crime. You walked out on me. On us. And you didn't even look back." "I needed air," she snapped. "You make this house feel like a cage." I laughed once, dry, humorless. A cage? Or just a place where the truth can't hide? She froze for a beat, her jaw tightening. "You don't trust me, do you?" "No," I said flatly. "And that's the problem." She scoffed and dropped her shoes to the floor with a clatter. "Maybe we should just break up, then." There it was. She tossed the line out like it was a grenade, quick, reckless, expecting it to scare me. But I didn't flinch. "You're right," I said. Her head jerked toward me. "What?" "You're right," I repeated calmly. "Maybe we should." Amanda's mouth parted slightly. Madison blinked like she'd been slapped. "I didn't mean it like that," she said quickly, her voice thinner now. "I was angry. And I'm done," I replied. She took a step forward. "Eric, no yelling. No crying. You made the call." I nodded toward the door. "And now I'm just answering it." Amanda slowly backed away, sensing the shift. "I'll wait in the car," she mumbled, then disappeared outside without another word. Madison stared at me, arms limp by her sides. "This isn't you," she whispered. "You don't give up like this." I tilted my head. Maybe I'm just finally seeing things clearly. She opened her mouth, closed it, then tried again. You can't mean this. You walked out the door like it meant nothing. So I decided to stop begging you to stay. The air in the room had changed. No more perfume. No more perfume-slick charm. Just tension. Raw. Electric. Real. Her voice cracked slightly. I didn't do anything wrong. I walked past her, grabbed a bottle of water from the counter, and stood silently. You can't just decide it's over, she said, her voice rising. I took a sip, then looked her dead in the eye. I'm not deciding. You already did. And with that, I walked past her toward the bedroom, leaving her standing alone under the porch light's dying glow. I didn't sleep. I didn't even try. By dawn, I was standing in the doorway of our bedroom, staring at her side of the closet. I hadn't said a word since walking away last night. Madison had crashed on the couch, curled under a throw blanket like that could shield her from the fallout she created. But I wasn't interested in scenes or speeches anymore. This morning, I just acted. The first trash bag came from the pantry, the thick, black kind we kept for yard work. I pulled it open and started pulling down hangers. One by one. No hesitation. Madison's sundresses. That maroon top she wore to her sister's baby shower. The sequin number she swore was just for girls' night. All of it, folded without care, shoved deep into plastic like it had no place here anymore. Behind me, I heard the couch creak. She was up. Eric. No answer. I reached for her drawer next. Lingerie she hadn't worn in our bedroom in months. Scarves she used to wrap in her hair when she made coffee on slow Sundays. I didn't flinch. Eric, what are you doing? She was standing in the doorway now, barefoot, wrapped in that blanket like it was armor. I zipped the first bag closed. Stop, she said. Please. I walked past her, set the bag down in the hallway. Grabbed another. Eric, her voice cracked. You don't mean this. Still, I said nothing. Please, can we just talk? She whispered. But I kept working. Not with rage. Not with theatrics. Just steady, methodical movements. One sleeve after another, collapsing the years we'd spent building this home into plastic and zippers. Madison moved in closer, grabbing my arm. Stop it. Please. You're scaring me. I looked at her, finally. No, I said simply. I'm waking you up. She let go slowly. Her hand hovered in the air before falling to her side. I didn't cheat on you. I didn't say you did. I replied, tossing in her hairdryer. But you left this marriage the minute you stopped coming home for me. Tears welled up in her eyes. I just needed time, space. Amanda kept pushing me to get out of the house. You let her push you right out of this relationship. Eric, please, she pleaded again, reaching for my arm. I pulled away and zipped the second bag. In the hallway, the bags were starting to line up like little gravestones. Black plastic monuments to all the things she once thought she had the right to take for granted. Don't do this, she begged, following me down the hall. We can fix it. We can go to therapy. I'll stop going out. I swear. I didn't think it would hurt you this much. That's the problem, Madison. You didn't think at all. She stepped in front of me, blocking the door. I'll change, she said. I'll do whatever it takes. Just don't throw me away like this. I stopped, exhaled through my nose, then looked her square in the eye. I'm not throwing you away, I said quietly. I'm just giving you what you chose. She stared at me like she didn't recognize who I was anymore. Maybe she didn't. Maybe that's what scared her most. I moved past her, dropped the third bag beside the others. By now the hallway looked like a loading dock. And still, she didn't move. She stood frozen, trembling, mascara still faint under her eyes from the night before. This was no longer a conversation. This was closure. And for once, I wasn't the one begging. She didn't chase me after the third bag. Madison just dropped to the floor beside the hallway wall, legs folded awkwardly under her like she couldn't hold her weight anymore. Her arms wrapped around her knees, and for the first time in a long time, she didn't say a word. Just cried. No performance. No sharp words. No attempt to win. Just pure, quiet sobs. I walked around her and went back into the bedroom, grabbed her 2 rolling suitcases from the closet, the ones we used to pack for weekend trips. One still had the old tag from Hilton Head on it. Strange how quickly something that once meant escape could feel like an eviction notice now. I laid them on the bed and started filling them. Shoes. Sweaters. Her hairbrush. That small jewelry box she never let me touch. She didn't try to stop me. The silence between her sobs was louder than anything she'd said earlier. By the time the second suitcase was zipped, I'd already decided she wasn't going to stall this. Not one more night. Not one more excuse. I stepped into the hallway, phone in hand. "Eric," she croaked, eyes red, voice weak. "Where am I supposed to go?" I didn't answer, just tapped the screen and placed a call. A dispatch operator picked up after 2 rings. "Yes, I need a private night pickup. Large luggage. No rideshare. Just 1 passenger." They asked the address, I gave it. They asked for urgency. As soon as possible. I hung up. She looked up at me, dazed. "You really called a taxi?" "I called a truck. They'll load your things, get you anywhere you need to go. I paid in advance." She leaned her head back against the wall. "I don't want to go. You made that choice before tonight." "No, Eric, I didn't. I didn't know you didn't know there were consequences." She broke again. Her head dropped into her hands, and her shoulders began to shake. I stood by the door, not cold, just resolved. For years, I'd made space for her to figure things out, to run her emotions like storms through our home, and I was always the one left cleaning up the mess. But tonight, I wasn't holding a mop. I was holding the door open. Headlights lit up the window. The truck pulled in slowly. White cab, clean sides, the kind that usually moves furniture or appliances. I opened the door before they could even knock. A younger driver stepped out, beanie low over his ears, scanning the quiet street. "Eric." I nodded. "That's us." He followed me to the hallway, saw the bags, saw her. To his credit, he didn't flinch. "Where to?" he asked softly. I looked to Madison. She was still curled against the wall, tear-streaked, silent now. "You have a friend's place?" I asked her. "Amanda's," she whispered. I gave the driver the street name and watched as he wheeled the bags out, one at a time. When I brought the last suitcase to the door, she hadn't moved. The driver stood outside, awkward, unsure if he should wait inside or out. I turned back to her one last time. "Come on," I said quietly. "It's time." She looked at me, tired, heartbroken, stripped of the pride that once made her untouchable. Then, slowly she stood. No more resistance. No more argument. Just goodbye in her eyes. She walked past me, pulled her sweater tighter around her, and stepped into the night. The truck door closed behind her. The engine hummed, and then they were gone. I stood in the doorway a long time, arms crossed, breathing in the cool air like it had finally returned to the house. I didn't feel triumphant. Just still. The quiet no longer felt suffocating. It felt earned. The next morning, I woke up before the sun. No alarm. No noise. Just a strange stillness in my chest. Not peace, but purpose. Heavy, focused, and cold. The smell of her perfume had finally faded from the sheets. The apartment was quiet in a way I hadn't felt in months. Not empty, just cleared. I sat at the kitchen table, poured myself a cup of black coffee, and pulled out a yellow legal pad. At the top, I wrote, places she went without me. Then I started listing every club, bar, or girls' night venue I could remember Madison mentioning over the past few months. Eden Lounge, 704 Social Copper District, Indigo on 9th Nightshade Room. I stared at the list. 5 places. 5 windows into who she'd become when she thought no one was watching. I didn't need to guess anymore. I needed truth. By 11 a.m., I was parked outside Eden Lounge, first on the list. The club looked different in daylight, less glamorous, more like a hollow shell of what it sold at night. The manager, a thin guy with gelled hair and a Bluetooth always clipped to his ear, barely gave me the time of day. "We don't show footage to just anyone," he said, eyeing me like I was trouble. "Privacy laws, sir." "I'm not asking for employee footage," I said. "Just need confirmation. One night. One face. My wife. Blonde, shoulder length. She was here Friday night." He leaned against the bar, arms crossed. "Was she a threat to staff?" "No," I said evenly. "She's a threat to the truth." That made him pause, not out of sympathy, but curiosity. "You got ID?" I handed it over. He walked off without saying a word. I waited, palms flat on the polished bar counter. 10 minutes passed. He returned with a small tablet, the screen tilted toward me. No sound. Cameras by the back booths. "Only saves 48 hours. You're lucky." The video played. The footage was grainy, blurred at the edges, but the shapes were clear enough. Madison, Amanda, both laughing, heels off, arms around each other. Then 2 men joined them. Tall, athletic, strangers to me. One leaned in close to Amanda. She let him. The other pulled Madison onto his lap. She didn't resist. The angle shifted, catching a moment that made my stomach knot. Madison leaned in, lips touching his. Not a hug, not a whisper, a kiss. Amanda was next, arms thrown around her guy's neck like they were teenagers at prom. They took shots together, danced. Madison spun with both arms in the air, her hair wild, her smile too wide, like she didn't know who she was anymore. I watched every second. I didn't blink. The video ended. The manager cleared his throat. Need a copy? No, I said, standing slowly. I got what I needed. Outside, the sunlight hit hard. I walked to my truck, opened the door, and sat behind the wheel, gripping it until my knuckles went white. I wasn't angry. Not anymore. Just done pretending. The truth had finally introduced itself, and it looked nothing like the woman I married. 2 days later, I sat across from Amanda in a quiet cafe on South Tryon. The place smelled like roasted beans and new furniture. Cozy warm. The kind of spot you'd meet a friend to catch up, not a woman who helped ruin your marriage. She was late. By exactly 13 minutes. Typical. When she finally walked in, sunglasses still on, she gave me that smug little grin she'd perfected since college. Well, she said, sliding into the chair opposite me. This is awkward. I didn't return the smile. Thanks for coming. I figured you'd be dragging this out eventually, she said, crossing her legs. Let me guess. You want an apology? No, I said. I want cooperation. That made her laugh. A short, sharp sound. You're serious? I'm filing for divorce. Your name's going to come up. Witness list. Subpoena, if necessary. She leaned back in her chair, amused. Oh, wow. You think I'm going to stand in a courtroom and talk bad about my best friend? Not a chance. I kept my voice calm. Amanda, you were with her the whole time. You know what happened at the clubs. You saw what she did. She sipped her coffee with exaggerated calm. And I have footage. That wiped the smile from her face, but just for a second. You mean that grainy club video? Please. That's nothing. Just a little dancing. Some flirting. You think that'll hold up? I think a judge will notice Madison kissing strangers on camera while she was married, I said. And I think her lawyer will panic when I say your name as the one who planned the nights out. Amanda raised her brows. You think threatening me gets you anything? I'm not threatening. I'm offering a choice. You can help me, or get dragged into it with her. She stared at me, then laughed again, colder this time. You're pathetic. I'm prepared, I said. Amanda stood, gathering her purse. You know what your problem is, Eric? You think just because you're calm and polite, it makes you right. But the truth? You were always boring. Predictable. That's why she drifted. And no video changes that. She walked out without saying goodbye. I watched her leave, then tapped my phone screen. A folder opened. One clip, trimmed, time-stamped, crystal clear. I hit send, but not to Madison. To a number I'd found 2 nights ago. Gavin, Amanda's boyfriend. A guy she kept conveniently off social media. I'd pulled his number from a contact log in one of the group shots Madison forgot to hide in her cloud backup. The message was simple. You deserve to know who you're dating. Video attached, no threats. No follow-up. Just the truth. That night, I sat on the edge of my bed, the light off, phone face down beside me. Let Madison and Amanda think they had the last laugh. Let them think I was finished. Because when people build their lives on lies, you don't need to shout. You just let the truth find its way into the cracks. And it always does. It was just after 7 p.m. when I heard the pounding on the door. Not a knock. Not the hesitant kind that asks permission. No, this was panicked. Desperate. Uncontrolled. I already knew who it was. I opened the door, and there she stood. Madison. Hair unbrushed, eyes red and swollen, face streaked with smeared makeup. She looked nothing like the woman who stormed out in stilettos and glitter 10 days ago. She looked small. Eric, she gasped, breath catching. Please, can we talk? I didn't move. I didn't say anything. She stepped forward, halfway into the living room before I even said a word. I know you sent the divorce papers, she said quickly, pacing, her arms hugging herself. Amanda told me. She said you're going through with it. That it's real this time. Still, I stayed quiet. My arms were crossed, my back leaned against the doorframe. I wasn't expecting it, she continued. I thought you just needed space, time to cool down. But then she showed me the footage, the one you sent her boyfriend. and said you're going to court. Her voice broke. Eric, I know how bad it looks. But I need to explain. Please, just let me explain. Explain what? I said, calm as ever. She swallowed hard. That night at Eden? I didn't want to go. I tilted my head. I didn't, she insisted. Amanda insisted. She said I needed to loosen up, said it was just fun. I didn't even know those guys. It was just shots and dancing, and I got caught up. I let the silence sit. Madison stepped closer. I shouldn't have gone. I shouldn't have left that night. I see that now. I panicked. Eric, you were right, okay? You've been right. But I didn't know how to fix it. She took a deep breath, eyes glassy. I want to come home. That made me raise my eyes to hers. I can't sleep, she went on. I can't think. Amanda's place is chaos, and she's been weird with me ever since Gavin broke up with her. She blames me, says I brought drama into her life. But I swear, Eric, I never wanted this. Then what did you want? I asked. I just wanted to feel seen. To feel something, she whispered. But now I feel nothing but regret. Please, I'm begging you. Her voice cracked again. I'll change everything. I'll stay home. I'll delete every guy's number from my phone if that's what it takes. I don't care. I want us back. I looked around the room. The neat coffee table, the freshly vacuumed rug, the soft hum of a quiet house that finally felt balanced again. Then I looked at her. I didn't want to go to the club, she repeated, softly, like it was the only defense she had left. Amanda insisted. I nodded once, slowly. Then let Amanda fix your life. Her face went blank. What? She asked, stunned. You said she dragged you into it. That it was her idea. So let her clean up what's left. Eric, come on. I didn't send you to her, I said. You walked out on your own. She took a step forward, voice rising. So that's it. You're just going to throw away everything we had. I didn't blink. You already did. I'm just cleaning up after it. She stared at me, searching for something, warmth, forgiveness, a sliver of the man who used to say we'll figure it out. But that man left when she slammed that door 10 nights ago. Her mouth opened again, but this time no words came. I stepped aside, gesturing toward the open door. I'm not angry, I said, but I'm done. Tears welled again, but she didn't argue. She knew. She turned slowly, stepped outside. This time, the door didn't slam. It clicked shut behind her, soft and final. And I let out a breath that had been stuck in my chest for far too long. The courtroom smelled like old wood and cold air. I sat in the plaintiff's seat, my hands clasped together, heart steady. This wasn't about revenge anymore. This was about resolution. A clean end to something that had been quietly rotting for months, maybe longer. Madison sat across from me, her hair pulled back tight, makeup thinner than I'd ever seen. Her lawyer whispered something into her ear. She didn't respond. She just stared straight ahead, blank, as if hoping none of this was real. But it was. The judge, a gray-haired woman with sharp eyes and zero tolerance for theatrics, gave a nod. Mr. Conway, your counsel may proceed. My attorney stood, confident and quiet. He wasn't the loud type. He just let facts do the talking. Your Honor, he began, we are prepared to present digital evidence collected directly from the security system of Eden Lounge, dated, timestamped, and unedited. The footage will verify our claim that Mrs. Conway engaged in behavior incompatible with the fidelity expectations of her marriage. Madison's lawyer shot up. Objection, relevance. The judge held up a hand. Let's see it first. The courtroom lights dimmed slightly as the screen flickered to life. Grainy footage, silent, but unmistakable. There she was. Madison laughing. Amanda beside her. Then the men. The shots. The close dancing. The kiss. No music played, but the silence was deafening. I didn't look at her while it played. I didn't need to. The judge leaned back, eyes narrowed. The footage ended. The lights came back on. Her lawyer cleared his throat, clearly rattled. Your Honor, if I may, you may not, she said flatly. Madison finally spoke. Her voice cracked. It wasn't what it looked like. I didn't. He wasn't anything. Amanda dragged me into it. The judge glanced toward the gallery. Amanda isn't here, she noted. And she wasn't. The seat next to the witness box, empty. No defense. No support. Madison's lip trembled. She was supposed to be here. She said she's not, the judge replied. And your behavior speaks for itself. The ruling came quickly. Due to presented evidence and lack of material dispute, this court rules in favor of the plaintiff. The premarital home shall remain under Mr. Conway's ownership. All joint assets shall be divided per the agreement provided. Spousal support denied. Madison gasped. Custody and any financial adjustments are not applicable in this matter, the judge added. But the court recognizes Mr. Conway's claim to restitution in terms of damages caused by reputational harm. She turned to Madison's lawyer. Do you wish to contest? He sighed, deflated. No, Your Honor. And just like that, it was done. But Madison wasn't. As the judge stood and exited, Madison turned to me, tears now falling freely. Eric, please, she whispered. Don't let it end like this. I made mistakes. I know. But you know I loved you. Deep down, I always did. I stared at her. Quiet. I'll do anything. I'll go to counseling. I'll make a public statement. I'll leave the city if that's what you want. Just don't shut the door like this. A pause. I'm not the same person I was when I left that night. I finally spoke. That's the problem, Madison. I don't even know who that person was anymore. Her knees buckled slightly. You don't mean that. You don't. Court officers were already starting to clear the room. She didn't move. Then suddenly, something snapped. You can't do this to me, she screamed, voice high and sharp. You don't get to win. You don't get to walk out like you're the victim. Everyone froze. I gave you everything. I gave you years, she shouted, fists clenched, tears pouring. A guard stepped in. Ma'am, we're going to need you to calm down. No, she yelled, backing away. This isn't justice. This is revenge. Two guards took her by the arms. She didn't resist at first, but then she began to thrash. Eric, say something. Please, don't let them take me out like this. I didn't move. Not out of cruelty, just clarity. The tantrum wasn't for me. It was for her. One last show in a stage she'd already lost. They pulled her toward the exit. Her screams echoed, slowly fading as the doors shut behind her. The silence that followed felt sacred. I gathered my paperwork, nodded once to my attorney, and left without looking back. Outside, the sun was warm on my skin, and for the first time in months, I felt it. Freedom. The smell of grilled ribs hung in the air like summer itself. I was standing in the backyard of a friend's house just outside Charlotte, plastic cup in hand, breeze warm, music low. A few coworkers were talking near the fire pit, and somewhere in the background, kids screamed over a cornhole game gone sideways. It was the first real gathering I'd shown up to since the court date. Not as someone's husband, just as me. Beside me on the patio bench sat Allison, soft-spoken, observant, the kind of woman who didn't need a spotlight to be heard. We hadn't known each other long, but I'd chosen her for a reason. No drama, no games, and no gaggle of toxic club friends calling at midnight. She laughed at something I said about charcoal versus propane, and as I reached for the iced tea, I caught a voice behind me. Two women, deep in conversation. Did you hear about Amanda? I didn't turn, just listened. She and Gavin are done. Kicked her out after some video got leaked. Seriously? Yeah. And she tried to move in with that friend, Madison? But apparently she's broke now too. Living out of a studio apartment with no car. It's a mess. Wow. What happened? The first woman lowered her voice. I don't know the details, but I think they messed with the wrong guy. I took a slow sip of tea. Said nothing. Allison nudged me lightly with her elbow. Something funny? I smiled faintly. Just remembering something. The truth was, justice hadn't come with gloating. It had arrived slowly, quietly, like a ripple moving across a still lake. And now, they were sinking in the same waves they tried to drag me under. I didn't need to lift a finger. They did it to themselves. The museum was quiet, the way I liked it. Hardwood floors underfoot, tall ceilings, voices low. A kind of silence that didn't feel empty, just respectful. Intentional. The kind that invited reflection instead of demanding attention. Allison and I walked slowly through the sculpture exhibit, hand in hand. She paused at a tall piece in bronze, abstract and tangled. What do you think it is? She asked, tilting her head. I shrugged. Probably whatever the artist was too scared to say out loud. She laughed softly, nudging me with her shoulder. That's poetic. Or lazy, I smirked. I've spent enough time trying to make sense of messy things. Her smile lingered for a beat longer than most. It had been 4 months since the divorce finalized. 4 months since the courtroom, the shouting, the slammed doors, and the tears. And in all that time, I hadn't looked back, not once. Not until that moment. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out and checked the screen. Madison. A short message. Just her name and a line of text previewed beneath it. Hey, do you have a minute? I stared at it. Not with anger. Not with hope. Just calm. Without reading more, I swiped left and hit delete. No hesitation. No pause. Allison glanced over. Everything okay? I slid the phone away, took her hand again. Yeah, just cleaning up old files. We walked on, deeper into the gallery, our pace slow and unbothered. Some people need closure spelled out in long conversations, final tears, or apologies wrapped in late-night confessions. Me? I just needed silence. And someone beside me who wasn't built to break me. And that was the end of the story. I still wonder sometimes, if Amanda hadn't covered for Madison at first, if she had just told the truth when I asked her to, would any of this have gone differently? Did she do what a real friend should have done? Or was she just protecting her own mess? Let me know in the comments what you think. And if you want more stories like this, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. I've got more truths to tell.